Hey guys, Monty here, coming from a very cold, bitter, windy, rainy New Jersey to talk about the awesome interview we had with our new friend of the show, and I'm very okay saying this, with Billy Campbell, as you're about to hear in this upcoming episode of Geek Stuff TNG. However, due to a last-minute snafu, as it were, we didn't get a chance to share the amazing charitable event that Billy Campbell is doing along with our friend Jamie Hicks. However, we want to make sure that we are getting it out there and make sure that we are supporting their efforts to the best of our ability. The Hairy Cell Leukemia Foundation has a mission to improve outcomes for patients with hairy cell leukemia through research by advancing knowledge about HCL among oncologists and hematologists, and by providing educational resources and comfort to patients and their families. Check all the amazing things the foundation is doing over at their website, HairyCellLeukemia.org. Now, this was the form of leukemia/cancer that Rocketeer creator Dave Stevens sadly died from. Go over to geekstufftng.com. In the episode description for this episode, you'll find a link for you to make a donation to the foundation. And as a special incentive to support Billy and Jamie's efforts, a donation of $100 will get you 3D printed files for the X3 rocket, which was built with help from the guys that built the original movie packs, and a personalized Billy Campbell photo. That's right, you heard it here. Don't miss the opportunity to help out on a great organization and get a signed pic of the Rocketeer himself. A special thanks go to our friend Jamie Hicks for setting up this amazing charitable opportunity. Now, enjoy the show with Billy Campbell.
So, welcome Patreons to the I don't want to call it the bonus show because we already have enough of those.
Bonus content. This special features.
The special features. Oh, well done, Nick. Well done. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to introduce this tonight with Ollie. It's what we're calling our Fastball special. Just a bunch of really quick, short answer questions, and then we're going to get into our listener submitted questions for our A Question for Campbell contest. So let's start right off with the Fastball special. You ready there, Ollie?
I'm going to hit the hard stuff for this, okay? I'm going to do the Purell.
Whoa. Okay. I wouldn't drink that, but, do what you will.
That's commitment. That is commitment. This is the bonus content that
Stings
people have
lips,
been waiting for.
But,
Tickles.
Is it really that bad there? That you just have to drink the Purell?
No, it's all right.
All right, here we go. Question 1. Short answers. What kept you sane during lockdown? Were you in lockdown, I think is the question, where you were?
Well, I'm in not lockdown, but I'm in quarantine right now. And that was for 14 days. So I have not been able to step outside of this, my place, but my place is so freaking gorgeous with so much light and such big windows that, quarantine in here is just like a vacation.
Did Norway have a quarantine or a lockdown or anything?
Well,
like
yes, we have lockdowns and so forth, but we live back in Norway. I live on my wife's family's farm, which family had been there for 450 years. So I'm living on a farm. It's like normal life. You don't, sure, you can't go into town, but who cares? You don't need to.
Right. Okay. A lot of this going around now. Did you purchase anything during COVID that you regret? Did you do any impulse shopping because you were, this might work for your quarantine. While you're in quarantine, did you buy anything you were just like, I'm bored, I'm going to buy something?
I bought a bunch of things, but only because I'm now working. I've got some money that will be coming in. And I can write off this new laptop that I'm talking to you on.
Oh, there you go.
And a new iPad to replace the one that I got stolen in Sweden last year.
Damn Swiss.
Huh?
The damn Swiss.
Damn Swedes.
Not Sweden. Sweden, not Swiss.
Swedes.
Oh, it's the Swedes. Damn Swedes.
Did he say Swedes or Swiss?
He meant Swedes.
Okay.
It's Swedes. Oh, I'm not doing good with the colder parts of Europe today. I really
Which,
am.
if you want a story, that's a really sweet story. But go ahead.
Okay.
Fast answers. Yeah.
What's the first thing you want to do once you get out of quarantine?
I'm gonna go to JJ Beans and get a cappuccino, and then I'm gonna take a run in Stanley Park. I'm gonna be the crazy guy sprinting through Stanley Park with drinking a cappuccino at the same time.
Nice. Is there a movie or a show that you know every word to? Like, is there a
Yes.
film that you know so well that you could just quote it ad nauseum?
Yes, I could watch it. I probably watch it once a year at least. The first year it came out, I watched it 3 or 4 times, and I've watched it at least once a year ever since then. And that is the first and only 2 seasons of Rome.
Oh yeah, great one. Absolutely great answer.
I think that's the most entertaining. What is it? How many episodes a season? Maybe 12.
Yeah, something like that. I
The
feel like 10.
The most entertaining 24 hours of television in the history of television.
Agreed. Best piece of acting advice you've ever received, and who from?
From an acting coach named Howard Fine, and it wasn't actually delivered in a phrase, but I went to him with troubles saying that I was self-conscious, and he stood me up on stage in front of his acting class. Nobody was there; it was just him. All the seats were stacked up against the back wall, but in his acting studio, and he said, "Just stand there. I'm going to take some notes about you." And he climbed up on stage and he walked around me and he was writing notes about me. He was looking me up and down, and it was just so excruciating. He went back and he sat down in the audience, and he said, "How'd that feel?" I said, "Well, I felt really self-conscious. You were like, yeah." And we talked a little bit more, and then he said, "Do me a favor." He said, "I'm just going to take some more notes about you. But while I'm doing that, I want you to count all those chairs that are stacked up against the wall in the back. I know how many there are, and I want to see if you can do it. I want to see if you can focus enough to count how many chairs are there." I said, "Okay." I started counting. He walked around me taking notes. At the end, he went back, sat down, and he said, "So how many chairs?" And I said, like 85, 85 maybe. And he said, "Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how many chairs are there." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, but how did you feel when I was walking around you taking notes?" And I was like, "I didn't even notice." There you go. That's your problem with acting.
What point were you at in your career? Was that real early on?
I can't really remember, but it
Last
wasn't,
Tuesday.
Yes, yeah. No, it wasn't super early on. It was post Dynasty, I think. Yeah, but
somewhere in that area.
Somewhere in that area. Yeah.
Right. Last one for the Fastball special.
Yep.
What is your biggest guilty pleasure?
My biggest guilty pleasure?
Mm-hmm. Something you do just for you. Don't care what anyone else thinks about it. I'm doing this because it's my thing, my guilty pleasure.
I don't know. I don't know.
What was it at one point in your life? Was it rugby?
Well, yeah, but that was never a guilty pleasure. That was just pleasure in bashing people around and bashing myself around.
It could just be that. What, Nick? Something?
How about it is not, that doesn't fall into the guilty pleasure category, but what is an album you can listen to from front to back over and over again and still enjoy it?
Oh my gosh. There's an album by this Danish kid who, A fellow named Mike Sheridan, and it doesn't sound like a Danish name, but I think his dad's English and his mom's Danish or something. But he made an album on his laptop when he was 14 in the basement of his parents' house. And his album was so good, it got him a major contract. And I heard that album for the first time when I was over in Copenhagen visiting shipmates, and I listened to it. I can listen to it. I have listened to it. It is of all the albums in all my time, I think it is the album that takes me on a voyage every time I listen to it. And the album, it's in Danish. It's called E, which is the letter I, Siv, which is S-Y-V, and Sind, S-I-N-D. E, Siv, Sind. And it is phenomenal, by Mike Sheridan. And
Danish?
He's a Danish kid, yeah.
Oh, do you speak Danish?
Oh, do I speak Danish? No. I speak a little Norwegian, which is very close to Danish. It looks like Danish on paper. It doesn't sound much like Danish. But Mike is Danish, and when The Killing came along, which Junie also cast me in, when The Killing came along, I was already familiar with Mike, and I was like, this guy, he's got to do the soundtrack. And I told the producers, I gave them the music, and they were in love with it. But they actually ended up going with the same musician who did the source music. It did the music for the original Danish version of The Killing. But Isiv Sind by Mike Sheridan. You can get it on Apple Tunes, and it's the album I can listen to all day long.
Interesting. How about a book that you read recently that you absolutely loved?
The Long Ships. Do you like historical fiction?
Actually, I really do. Yeah.
If you want to read a fantastic book about the Vikings, read The Long Ships. The Long Ships. And it's written by, I believe his name is Franz Bengtsson. He was a Swede. And it's fantastic. It's great historical fiction. It's historically very accurate, and at the same time, very, very particular. And the hero of the story is he is a Viking, of course, but he's also a bit of a hypochondriac. So if you can imagine a Viking who is a bit of a hypochondriac, you'll get a somewhat of a sense of how readable the book is. It's wonderful.
It's funny, as I was watching Killing Lincoln before this and everything, I did laugh at one point, just kind of putting the connection. There was a little irony there that you were in Dracula, and I was thinking about Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, I never saw that.
The book is fun, honestly, because there's a lot of in the book they Photoshop a lot of classical photos with either vampires in it or with like Lincoln in the background through the years. I don't want to ruin it. The movie is it's a fun popcorn movie, really, more than anything else. But the book is a lot of fun, the way it just kind of weaves in and out with history and Vampire Hunter of Lincoln. So. That was my first thought. Like, you reminded me of that, actually, as you asked me that question.
Let's get into some of these listener questions. Okay, so Ollie, have you ever been so open with these, right? Open with if you've ever been asked this before by anybody, and then let us know what the answer is. Okay?
Wait, say it again.
So the contest is, we wanted people to submit questions that they think you've never been asked.
Okay. And
right? So let us know if you've ever been asked this and what the answer is. Okay. All right. Number one, have you introduced your boys to rugby yet?
No. I'm waiting. You know, as with the kids, you have to wait till the perfect moment to introduce them to something that you really want them to love.
Right. Have you ever been asked, has anyone asked you that yet? Relatives, anybody?
No.
No one's ever asked you that. Okay, good. All right. What is your favorite beer?
Yeah, plenty of people have asked me that.
I thought as much.
Yeah. My favorite beer is a pint of Guinness on tap in Dublin.
That makes
Perfect.
sense.
Yeah.
Here's the next one. Do you ever tell people who don't know you're an actor that you got beat up by James Bond?
No, I've never been asked that before, and no, I've never said that to anyone.
Okay, good. All right. I think we went over this. Do you own any props or costume pieces from Rocketeer? I think we said no, and I bet everybody on the planet asks you that.
Yeah, no, I didn't keep anything but the menu.
Should have kept that helmet.
I kept the menu and I kept the girl.
There you go. For a bit, yeah. All right. So this is an interlude. It's not a question. It's somebody. Derek W. wanted to let you know that whenever his 2.5-year-old daughter sees airplanes flying by, she points and says Rocketeer, and he tells her that it is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right. So here we go. Next question. Has anyone ever asked, do you have any insight on any anniversary editions, 4K transfers, new releases of the Rocketeer, anything like that?
My God, no. I'm the last person to ever hear about anything.
But do people ask you that?
No, nobody's ever asked me that. Well, no, actually, people have asked me. People do ask me on occasion about the sequel or reboot or whatever.
You're getting ahead. You're getting ahead.
Okay, sorry, never mind.
If you had the chance, we're moving on to the next one. Has anyone ever asked, if you had the chance to do it all over again, what would you change and why? And this is about the Rocketeer, one presumes.
If I had the chance to do the Rocketeer over again?
Yeah, if you had a chance to do it all over again, what would you change and why? Has anyone ever asked you
I've
that?
never been asked that.
Nice.
And I am not sure that I would change a thing. I'm not sure that I would change anything. No.
I'm with you on that. I wouldn't want you to change.
Loved the experience. You know what I would change? I would change. There were a couple people hurt on the film, and I would change that.
Perfect. Has anyone ever asked, what can we expect? Can we expect to see you involved with any part of the franchise going forward? Which brings up a good point that we didn't bring up earlier, was that you just did a voice for a character called Dave Secord in the Disney Plus new Rocketeer cartoon, which I think is for like 7-year-olds. So I think you're voicing, if I understood it correctly, you are voicing the grandson of your character in the Rocketeer, Cliff, right? Because it's Cliff, and then his son is Ambrose, and his son is Dave, and then Dave has a daughter named Kit, who is the main 7, and she's the main character here.
Yes, exactly.
Is that continuing?
I'm not sure. Tell you the truth. I haven't been in contact with them for a while, but I would assume it's continuing. It sounded like it was doing well. And I'm voicing Dave, father of Kit, and I'm also voicing, I think I'm voicing.
Oh, you are voicing Cliff in the
as well,
in the film, the serial, like the newsreel footage. Have people asked you that before? Are you going to be in the franchise? I suspect they have.
Yeah, they've asked me about that. Yeah.
Okay. In preparing for the role of the Rocketeer or Cliff Secord, what advice, insight, or comments, if any, did you get from Dave Stevens?
Oh, Dave. Yeah. Dave, plenty. I mean, not advice, I would say, but plenty of encouragement and plenty of adulation. Dave was super, super happy with the film. From everything he said, he was super happy with me in the part and with my performance. And he actually gave me a copy of The Rocketeer, the hardcover copy of his graphic novel, and inscribed and did a portrait of me on the inside cover, and made an inscription which just breaks my heart to think about. So,
Have people asked you about that before, about Dave Stevens?
no.
No?
I mean, yes, plenty of people have asked about Dave Stevens.
I
too.
thought so. I thought
Yeah.
so. Have you ever been asked, were there any pranks pulled on the set?
Yes. I played a few myself on different people. I can give you a word of warning: never get into a prank playing contest with the stunt department, because you will find yourself 80 miles from your bed at the end of a long night of shooting, in the parking lot, attempting to go home after a long day of shooting, and you will find that your Jeep has been wrapped in chain link through the steering wheel and padlocked, so that you will have to go back up to the set and end up spending the night not in your trailer, because that's already been locked and somebody's gone home, but in the Bulldog Cafe. So
you had to sleep it off in the Bulldog Cafe?
yeah, I spent the night in the Bulldog Cafe.
Wow. Has anyone asked you that before about pranks on the set?
I think so, but I can't remember.
Okay. All right, we're moving
This
on.
This is the same stunt coordinator, by the way, Jim Arnett, who did a movie with Chris Christopherson, and they pressed Chris Christopherson to the right before lunch on this movie, pressed him to the stage floor, stapled him to the stage floor by the hem of his clothing all around him, and left him there screaming while everybody went off to lunch.
You hear about so many of those set pranks. They always sound like, I mean, by and large, it sounds like everybody's having a good time. Those are always
Well,
fun.
I mean, the thing is, if you come on a film and you're good-natured, you're bound to get into some good-natured trouble.
Right. Okay. I'd love to, have you ever been asked, was there ever any talk, plot, or discussion about sequels that never materialized for the
I have
Rocket?
been asked that, and yes, there was plenty of discussion. There was a lot of discussion about some kind of a sequel or something, a live-action sequel that was going to happen, and it never did. Nobody, and I mean nobody, ever reached out to me or told me boo about anything.
Right.
I'm the last sucker in line for any kind of information.
You figure they might want to involve you a little bit in those conversations.
You never know. I mean, it's the movie business. It's not sentimental.
True. Has anyone ever asked, I'm sure they have, but I'll say it anyway, what did it feel like the first time you saw yourself fully in the Rocketeer costume? Helmet, pack, all of it.
I have never been asked that, and I would say it was a dream. It was like a dream. I mean, I don't know. It was a dream. It was like I could hardly believe my luck, you know? And yeah, I just felt, I don't know, like a dog with three tails.
Did you think anything to yourself like, wow, I read this book a few months ago and here I am?
Yeah, I felt that. I felt a lot of things. And I'm hard pressed to describe any of them.
This is a question from Italy.
Oh.
Do you love to fly?
Oh, I do now. I've never been, I have been asked that. I didn't like to fly before the film, but as I said, I went through a bit of a process in the movie, and I gained a love of flying. I still don't care really to fly in airplanes, but I love to go to the top of a mountain and jump off it with a hang glider strapped to my back.
I still don't get how you go from fear of flying to having pretty much a kite above you and jumping off a mountain.
That's a funny extreme where it's like, planes are iffy, but I'll flying chipmunk myself down a mountain. That sounds splendid.
If you wanted to spend 10, 15 minutes, I could convince you of the fact that you're far safer in a hang glider than you are in an airplane.
No, don't say that, because I'm flying soon. So no, thank you, but I appreciate you. Have you ever been asked, what was it like working with Michael Mann on Crime Story?
I have been asked that, and it was a mad experience. It was pretty crazy. Michael is a bit of a genius, and like some geniuses, they're a bit unpredictable. And back in his youth, in those days, he was quite unpredictable. And so it was a pretty insane experience. I know Michael was very fond of sort of his the life off camera and the life outside of the production, sort of, and your personal life kind of being manifest on screen. So as crazy as we wanted to get, we got, and those were some pretty crazy days when I was 25, shooting a TV show in Las Vegas. You can imagine the stuff that happens.
Okay. Have you ever been asked on the Rocketeer, this is a craft service question, what was the food like on the set, and can you remember the first meal that you had there?
I have never been asked that, and I cannot remember what the food was like, and I cannot remember my first meal, but it was, a relatively large budget feature film, and so I think everything was pretty Jake. I don't remember it being bad, that's for sure.
Got it. Okay. This is a bit longer one. Has anyone ever asked, has the way you reconnect or reflect on your past projects, like the Rocketeer and others, changed as a result of the internet and social media, or do you not think about the old gigs that much?
Has it changed the way? I mean, it's changed everything.
Well, I think what the questioner is trying to ask is that, there is a call, like, let's take Young Sandwich here, for example, who hasn't really seen the Rocketeer, but because of things like streaming services and social media and things, that his generation is experiencing a lot of this stuff maybe for the first time, and they get it a lot easier and a lot better quality, etc. before. And so does something like that change the way that you look at, like, for example, the Rocketeer? Like, here we are, it's the 30th anniversary. You're sitting on Three Schmoes podcast talking about a project that you did 30 years ago, which we're beaming out to people who for some reason like to listen to our show. And like, those kind of changes, does it keep you involved in those older projects, or are you kind of like, yeah, I did that, it was cool 30 years ago, but now I'm doing national parks, so check me out on national parks? Or
yeah, I mean, the thing that keeps me involved in projects that I did is really my love or lack of love for them, more than anything else. It doesn't really have much to do with social media. I'm not much on social media. I nuked my Facebook. I mean, I feel far better in far better mental health because of it. And I barely check into Twitter. I only keep it because I know the shows want you to, do your retweeting and stuff when we come on air. But for me, the real change has been, in production. I remember when I was starting out and stuff, there were no cell phones and all that. And when you went off on location, they'd give you a call sheet and some information, numbers and stuff, and they give you a roll of dimes. And you would go off down the highway to go on location. And if you had any trouble or anything, you were meant to pull over to a gas station or wherever, find a payphone and use your dimes to check in with somebody or, report on your emergency. So those have been the changes for me. That and being on set, it used to be that it took 5 or 6 semi-tractor trailers filled with Klieg lights to light a movie set. And now you can make a film with, everything I need to make an entire, professional feature film able to be opened in major theaters around the world. I could fit on this top of this dining room table, right?
Right.
A laptop and some lights and all the equipment I would need to make anything put on top of this dining room table. So that really has been the major difference for me. The other part I'm not connected to.
Okay. And finally, this is the funny one. We stuck this for the end.
Sorry, can you even see me anymore? I'm sorry, the lights. I don't have any lights on in here. And
no, yeah, we can see you fine.
Okay, all right.
I've actually been adjusting you slightly without your knowledge. So
okay. Yeah.
See you just fine. Have you ever been asked, since you worked for Disney, Herbie the Love Bug, was that magic or technology? Like, was he possessed by a spirit like My Mother the Car or some advanced AI like the Transformers? That's the listeners that we have, Ollie. I'm betting no one's ever asked you that.
No one has ever asked me that. And I loved Herbie the Love Bug, primarily because I loved I can't remember his name, but the actor.
I can see his face, but I don't remember.
Dad, yeah.
Mr. Monte will look it up.
I used to want him to be my dad.
Or he won't.
Geez, I don't know. I mean, I guess if I had my druthers, it would be an animating spirit of some kind.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's the thing about anthropomorphism. It's really just trying to make us okay with a thing that's going to kill us.
I have a question on something that isn't from a fan or anything, but what was it like working on Eureka? That's one of my favorite sci-fi shows.
Oh yeah,
I know you were in it's one of my 2 favorite ones that were on that network, and I know you were kind of like, they kind of made you basically like a heartless bastard kind of in the show for the episode and everything like that. But I'm just kind of curious, how was it working on the show?
Well, it was fabulous. I'm good buddies with Colin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we have been for years. And so the best part of this story is actually how I got to be on Eureka. I came up here to Vancouver to do a sci-fi pilot, which we did do for sci-fi. I can't remember the name of it exactly. Maybe it'll come to me, but it was pretty neat. It was a kind of a revolution or something, and planets vying with each other. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get picked up. And that's because sci-fi felt that they didn't have room enough. I don't know, something about, but whatever it was, Eureka kind of eclipsed us. We didn't have room for 2 family-oriented sci-fi shows or something. I don't know. Anyway, when I found this out, I sent a perturbed message to Colin saying, "You bastard, you're the reason I don't get to come back and do this thing as a series." And he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Do you want to do an episode?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I'll call you back in 5 minutes." And he literally called me back in like 10 minutes. And he said, "It's done. You're on." So I got to do an episode.
Oh, that's awesome.
Before I did an episode, I actually went over to, I'm actually in 2 episodes because I went over one day just to hang out with Colin, and I was a background a background extra in the big atrium. But yeah, so anyway, that's how I got on Eureka, and it was lovely. And my buddy Colin is still a buddy.
It seems that you get some of your gigs by guilting people who have not allowed you to do, like, Star Trek and Eureka, and
Yeah,
I'm seeing a pattern.
Well, there might be a bit of a pattern, I mean, we actors are, the personification of desperation.
And really quickly, Don, before you ask the question, we have someone, Jordan Lawrence. She joined our Patreon today because her boyfriend is just such a huge fan of you and the Rocketeer as a whole. So she just messaged me really quickly so she can. It's a little bit of a statement and a question here.
Yeah.
It says, "My boyfriend has cosplayed as the Rocketeer at Dragon Con for the past 5 years. When we started dating, he introduced me to the Rocketeer movie. After watching it the first time, I told my boyfriend that it was funny that the Rocketeer doesn't appear to off any Nazis, but Jenny pushed one right out of the Zeppelin." And the question then goes, "Were there any shots / outtakes of you taking out any Nazis?"
No, I don't think there were. And I have a vague memory of that being a discussion, sort of, part of the thing about the movie, part of the attraction of the movie is that it has this sweet spirit, and I feel like part of that sweet spirit is that, the hero doesn't ever really use a gun. He doesn't ever really kill anyone. He punches an FBI guy, but who hasn't wanted to do that? So,
and you know what? That's funny that you say that, because one of the things I was actually going to say to you was, boy, what was it like? I don't remember the actor's name, but boy, he's just one of those guys who appears in every movie and you just want to punch him in the face. I don't remember what his name is.
you know what? He's a sweet, sweet man. He was a sweet man. He's dead now, but if you gave me enough time, I would think of it. But
we'll look it up and put it out there.
The sweetest guy you'll ever want to meet. And he was in a movie that I loved. I think it was The Longest Yard, I believe, with Burt Reynolds, a prison movie where they sort of make an in-prison football team or something.
Yes.
Anyway.
Longest Yard.
Yeah.
What's it? Sandwich?
The Longest Yard?
Longest Yard.
Yeah. Longest Yard, that's right.
My one question I want to ask you is, did you have any reaction to the Rocketeer being on Disney Plus? Did you find out like after they got put on, or were you told before that it was going to be on? Do you even care that it's on?
I don't really remember. I mean, I do care that it's on. I care about the movie. I mean, if you can imagine, for me, everything that I do, every job that I do is like it's like a yearbook from my life. You know what I mean? It's like I can watch anything I've ever done, and I remember what I'm doing on the day I did that scene, and like how my life was, and blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And aside from that, the Rocketeer was such a wonderful experience. It was one of the highlights of my life, really, not just of my acting career, but of my life. And so I do care that people see it. I do care that people love it. I do care that it's on Disney Plus and that it's finding a whole new audience, and that brings me nothing but joy. Yeah.
So I can imagine if anything ever comes up in the future Rocketeer, you want to be on that immediately. No questions asked.
You mean as in a movie or something?
Anything. Like, are you just very like, if there's Rocketeer and you can be involved, you want to be involved, or do you kind of?
I don't know. I mean, you know, I have my reservations. Like I love the thing that we made, right?
Mhm.
And you know, there has been talk about a reboot or a sequel or something over the years, a live action sequel or reboot, and you know, I have wondered, like, is somebody going to ask me if I will do a cameo, or if would I be part of it, or you know, something. And in my mind, I've always thought, you know, if I read the thing and it honors Dave's spirit, then yeah, I'd be happy to. But if it doesn't matter how much, you know, if I was getting any money at all or a truckload of money, I wouldn't do it if I thought it didn't honor the spirit of Dave Stevens.
Well, that's the end of our questions. We're glad to keep chatting with you. If you put a light on, because we're losing you now.
Sorry, I'll put a light on right now.